Okay, so literally just finished watching your video and now I am responding because if I don't respond now, I'm probably going to forget like everything that you said and forget what I have to respond to, which I'm probably going to do anyway, but we're going to try. I would love a tour of your library, which I texted you and told you, so I don't know how exactly that process works, but I tried to use Paperback Swap once because you've mentioned it to me before and it was really confusing. Mainly because I just wasn't really, like, I didn't really have books that I really wanted, so I didn't really try and, like, look that hard. But, yeah, if I can figure that out, then that would be a super awesome website to use. And, I'm gonna try and go to, like, Goodwill or, go yard sailing or to Barnes & Noble or anything like that and, like, buy a bunch of books, because I'm, like, plowing through these books like it's my job, and then I can probably like get an account maybe on Paperback Swap and like do it myself. I don't know, but I'll have to figure it out with you because you clearly know what you're doing and I don't. But I told my mom that I was like beasting through Trafficked and she's like, you need to read adult books. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm good with teen books because adult books are boring. And my grandma let me some of them from, like, that she's already read and that she said were good. But I'm not really sure how I feel about them. Like, they don't, I mean, they sound, I guess, okay, but eh. And as for books that I like, I'm a as a general sense, I like mystery books. If it's too, like, lovey-dovey cliche, then it makes me want to vomit, and I don't really want to read it. But I really like mystery books. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. Well, and the books that I was reading, the Ellen Hopkins books, I don't know if you ever saw those that I have been reading. There's like 8 of them, and they're written in free verse poem, and they like follow a couple different people like in each book, and it's all about like problems like with drugs or alcohol or whatever, and it follows like these people's stories through free verse poem, and it like in this last one that I read is called Perfect, and it follows 4 people, and like each one of them has like a problem or whatever, and they all live in like the Reno area, and one of them is dating this guy and she's trying to get into Stanford, and it turns out that like she's a lesbian, and then it talks about like her struggle with being a lesbian and people finding out about it, and then the other one is like anorexic because she wants to be a model and like all this kind of stuff. So it follows like real life problems, which I can actually kind of sort of relate to because I don't really relate to characters. Like I relate to like the storyline. So if it's something that like I can follow, then that's generally a good thing. And it like hops back and forth between the characters. But I like books like that because they're like a really quick read. And, like, I'm the kind of person that I won't stop unless I'm, like, at the end of a chapter. But, like, the free verse poem books that I've been reading, they're, they break into different, like, the different characters. And, like, each character's little chunk is probably about 10 pages of free verse poem. Hold on, I'll get the book and I'll show it to you. So, like, this... like the beginning of this is the beginning of one of the characters' little monologue-y things. So like each page has about that much writing on it, and they never fill the pages because they're free verse poem, so they're not like side to side writing. So they're like super easy to get through, so it's really easy to get through like 10 pages, which is good because then I can like stop at a good spot every time. So that's also something I look for. But yeah, I'm totally okay with just finishing Trafficked, because I can probably just, like, beast through it by tomorrow because I've been, like, dying to read something, and I don't know why. Like, it's kind of, like, I really want books, like, so yeah, like, I'm gonna look at different places and see what I can find, and we'll figure it out from there. Let's see, what else were you gonna say? Alright, ooh, a text, is it from you? No, it's not. Sorry. So, oh shit, what else did you say? Oh, the bus. Yeah, I don't think Gertie would make it, so your mother, I think, is kind of losing it a little. And Gertie's your baby, so I totally understand not leaving it with someone. But yeah, so I looked into a bus from Binghamton to here, and there's 2 transfers. One in Syracuse, which is like a 6-door bus station. It's super easy to transfer there, so that would not be a problem. And the people there were really, really nice when I went, so, I mean, you can always ask somebody, but there's, like, screens everywhere that tell you where you need to go and, like, what gate you need to be at and stuff, and it's super easy, and they make announcements and stuff. And then the other transfer is in Boston. That bus station is a little more difficult to figure out, but, like, I just talked to some random lady when I was coming here on the bus, that was traveling as well, and she was super nice, and she helped me get where I was supposed to go because I was in the wrong spot. But there's, like, customer service desks and stuff, so you can just, like, go and ask, and it's super easy to find where you need to be, and, like, there's, again, screens everywhere, so, like, that's not too bad. So it's only 2 transfers instead of, like, a gajillion like I had to do. But that was one option, and if I have a car by the time this happens, which I hope to God I do, because otherwise we're basically going to be doing nothing when you guys are here, then I could probably, depending on what time you come in, I could probably pick you up in Boston. If you didn't want to have to do another transfer, then I could probably pick you up at the Boston station. But then the bus would go from Binghamton to New York City, and then you'd have to transfer in New York City. So I don't know if you would rather transfer in New York City or if you would rather transfer in Boston. Me, personally, I would rather transfer in Boston, because you're probably going to end up at Grand Central if you take the bus. Grand Central? Penn Station, I think. But I would suggest transferring in Boston if I was to not pick, like, so probably the bus ride from Binghamton, excuse me, straight to here would probably be the best bet. It's a really long trip though, like it's a 13-hour trip, but the main reason it's a 13-hour trip is because you have a 3-hour layover in Boston. Like you would get in at like say you'd get there at 1:30 or something, then you wouldn't have your bus until 4 o'clock. And then you'd have a 45-minute layover in Albany before you get to Worcester, Mass. And then, when you transfer in Syracuse, the hell is making that noise? Oh, it's a cat. When you transfer in Syracuse, I think it's like an hour layover. So it's basically just like a lot of waiting around, but the 2 transfers would be super easy. So if you want to do that, that's an option, or, I mean, I could get you at the Boston station, or we could figure out some other way, like some random city to meet in. Like, I could probably maybe even, depending on the car situation, I could maybe even get you in Albany, and we could, like, you could take the bus to Albany, and I could get you there. But then you'd still have to transfer in Syracuse. So basically no matter what you do, you're going to have to transfer somewhere. But it's really not hard at all. It's just, like, if you go from Binghamton to here, it's just a long trip. So, I mean, like, I'll obviously, like, be available for texting the whole time. But, like, at the same time, it's a long trip. Like, I was kind of, I just slept the whole time, and I was fine. But, the other thing is, I'm looking, like, I'll probably end up having a job by the time that you guys come visit. So, I mean, it's totally okay that you come, like early, like what'd you say, the 11th, I think is what you said. So that's totally fine with me if you come the 11th, but I would probably only take off the days that both you and Dylan would be here. So it would just kind of be, like, hit or miss for if I had to work, like, the times when you came, like, before Dylan got here. So, I mean, I highly doubt my family will care if you just have to stay here for a few hours while I work. But, I don't know if you want to be sitting around or whatever. But what I'm probably going to do is tell them that in the summer I'm available to work like during the day until like 4, and then like once school starts then I'll change it. So if I was to get the job somewhere, then I would just tell them I could work until 4. So at least we would know that if I had to work that day, I wouldn't be working any later than 4, so I would be home by like 4:30. So I mean, that's always an option. You can always just stay here and hang out with my family. Like, that's totally fine. And they're super fun, so it's not really going to make a difference. And they'll probably just be sitting around watching TV or hanging out in the yard or whatever. So, as long as you wouldn't mind doing that, then we could do that. But, I know for Kohl's, they, like, give you the schedule, like, 2 weeks in advance, so I would know how often I had to work, and, like, I could try and get people to take shifts and stuff, which wouldn't be a problem. Like, I'll try and, like, pawn them off if I'm working a ridiculous amount of times. But, yeah, so if you want to still come, like, early, that's fine, but I'm definitely, like, I will take off from the 20th to the 24th when you and Dylan are both here, so that I can spend, like, the whole time with you guys, because, you know, because taking off 2 weeks, they would probably be pissed since I would just be starting. But yeah, so I'll definitely do that. I don't remember what else you said, but this is a really long video and I'm kind of rambling now. What was I going to say? Let's see, paperback swab. Oh, clingy clothes. Yeah, I don't know, like, I buy tank tops, obviously, and there aren't many tank tops that aren't, like, tight, so I just kind of, like, suck it up and deal with it, even though I would rather prefer to be wearing looser tops, because if you've noticed, like, every single one of my t-shirts is, like, a loose-fitting t-shirt, because I don't like wearing tight things, except my tank tops obviously are kind of tight, but that's whatever. I don't know. I'm like running out of spit because I've talked so much for 12 minutes. Holy shit.